I think that is a hideously boring, horrible magic trick.
Yeah,
Any
yeah, yeah.
magician can perform it well. Um, and I think I perform it particularly well, not because it's a great trick, but because of my message.
Hello, Richard.
Hello, Kent.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
I'm so sorry that it took so long to get to you. We were in a really a couple meetings and then a really deep conversation with another person who was doing these same questions with. So I appreciate you being flexible.
Maybe I won't be as deep.
Oh, maybe. No, I'm sure you will. Uh, it gets pretty wild. It gets pretty wild in here.
Wild is good. I could use that.
Yeah. Um, so
Here's a peek for you.
oh my God. I feel like I'm reaching my peak.
So, how was Cebu?
Oh my God, it was amazing. It was a guy. We haven't talked about it. It was so
Oh, no.
cool. We did the canyoneering thing. Have you ever done that? Did you do it? You went through the
I know.
Kawasaki?
I didn't do it. I'm not.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
No,
no,
I'm not a hang in
it
the
was
air guy.
so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had us jumping off cliffs and they're like little ones. I mean, they're like the biggest one was like 9 meters. So that was
I've
not
been there and watched
yeah,
other people do stuff, and
so cool. We did it. We did the zip line like into the rainforest.
yep,
I think it's technically
so
a
beautiful
rainforest.
there. It's amazingly beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, it was really cool, and everyone was super nice, and the whole like we all had our individual tour guides, and my girlfriend actually is like deathly afraid of spiders, and so there were a lot of really big spiders
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in the area, and they the guides would always say like, "Sir, tell Miss to not look up when we come up when we're going around the next bend, okay?" And I'd be
Right.
like, "Okay, Molly, eyes down, eyes down."
Right. But then she would know to look up,
No, no,
follow your
she
directions.
would be very happy to follow those directions. Like she can actually have it's weird because maybe you have some insight on this, but the fear is not that she's going to be injured. The fear is not that they're going to attack her. The fear is not any of that. It's just literally like if you told her 100%, and this is self-reporting, so we all know how reliable that is. I'm not sure, but um, if you told her that there was going to be a spider in front of her, and like I had a god magic wand that it would not injure her, but it would jump from one side of this table to another side of this table. And then you said, "Would you be afraid of that if you knew 100% that it would not touch you and you would not be injured?" She would say, "Yes, I would be terrified."
Right.
And it's really interesting. It's not a matter of like, yeah, if she saw it and she was surprised by it, way worse than we're just telling her to like look down because there's one above you.
Right.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Well, belief equals expectation.
Yeah, right.
So, this project sounds interesting.
Yeah, I've been working on I've had these conversations a lot with people, and and this is like I can one of the reasons that I'm starting to record them and sort of clip them for people is because I want a single conversation to be useful to multiple people because they can go quite a while, and doing the same one. Yeah, I just feel like if people want to consume this kind of material and go to, um, uh, it makes it way worth it to be able to have a one particular deep conversation with one person that maybe 10 people inside of a community or 100 people or whatever can get use from.
Just so
Then
you know, in your planning, my class is at 3 o'clock today.
okay, no problem. I don't think
So,
it'll be longer than an hour because most of the time, actually, you and I already pretty much agree on everything. Uh,
probably
most of the last meeting actually
was
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 getting on the
correcting
same page.
misbeliefs.
Say it again, sorry.
Correcting misbeliefs.
Yeah, well, it was getting on the same page about what words like magic or magical mean, what words like supernatural mean, if it is and it was just getting on the same page. It wasn't about necessarily agreeing. It was just about understanding what what the last person
But
meant. It was
make
just,
sure you're speaking the same language.
exactly, exactly. And I think you and I already speak largely the same language
I think so.
for stuff like this. So, and the conversation, it was with Matt Bruce, a wonderful performer. I actually have never seen him perform, but I can tell that he's a really good performer the way that he talks about this stuff. So,
Good.
um, yeah, and he does readings, tarot readings, but uh, actually he does them in a way that I quite appreciate. He does them from a psychological bent, where he's like, this is these things that we're going to be exploring together are archetypes, and we're going to be finding meanings in these cards.
Carl Jung gave us so many plots for magic scripts that he didn't even know about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, of course. But I think that
Do you have the big red book, Carl Jung's big red book?
no, I don't. No.
Uh, it may be worth it for you. It's $300 in this, but it's pretty. So I always say it's the most beautiful book ever made. I'm not sure how practical it is. Make a great prop for anybody.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It's
It would
huge,
look good on like a bookshelf if I wanted to look super smart.
it's this big. I mean, it's 17 inches by 11 and a half, and
Jesus, what a
it's
tome.
his original art, and and the German handwriting, and then it's all translated into English, and it's a pretty deep book too. I mean,
Wow.
but it'd be a great. Maybe I'll do a book test with it someday. 50
Wow.
billion words in German and English. I can find your words.
Yeah. Um, so so yeah, let's begin. Can you tell me, I mean, right now, I normally these sort of questions that I have that I normally will launch into are designed more for people who are trying to put together or have put together some kind of like narrative piece or like either immersive theater piece or narrative piece, or who have built or are trying to build a sort of character around a show. But you know, context is everything. Context is everything. So it's possible that, you know, sometimes these questions or these things are not approachable in a definitive sense, but just useful to begin thinking about. Um, so where are you right now in your development? Where are you right now, and where are you going?
Sure. I mean, as far as character development, I've recognized for the last 6 months that that's the most important thing,
Mm.
um, because the method or the effect is really irrelevant. That anything can be good, anything can be bad. It's all going to be dependent on the character, the story arc, in my case, the lessons that are uh, explored or shared, and currently right now I find myself in an interesting position because my character is, I'm an academic and two doctorates. I'm a dork. Um, so I do really well with the interesting, fascinating professor character. I'm humorous, but I'm not a comedian, even though I did comedy clubs for years. Um, and So now I find myself performing at the House of Magic at Silver Sevens in the comedy magic show as a mentalist who's not a comedian.
Yeah.
And so I'm having to adapt my character from more of a Max Maven Eugene sort of mentee to a little more levity, a little more humor. And
Mm.
I don't need to be a comedian to do the show, but I need to be serious magic, not taken seriously. That's their tagline,
Oh, cool,
right?
cool.
So, so I need to be impressive and fascinating and interesting as the professor, but I need to lighten up a little bit and um, and be more humorous and more relatable. And I think that sometimes as the professor, there's an inherent role that puts some space between you and your students. Now, obviously, the audience isn't a student, but I can't carry that over into my show, or I'll be boring.
Wait, you can't carry the audience being students into your show?
Well, I can't. They can be students, but that space between the professor and the student, that inherent academic separation between the two, I need to become more part of the audience. I need to be doing something with them rather than something to them. And
Okay.
So we're sharing an experience. I think that's going to be more valuable for them and for me, and sort of remove it from the professor role I'm real comfortable with.
I think I know what you mean, but I want to give a little bit of pushback on this because
Sure.
the context of a classroom is very different than the context of a show. And so if you were to make it so if you're just trying to teach your audience something, then yeah, of course you're not doing a show at that point.
Right.
But if you were to adopt the role of a professor or a teacher, and it is clear to the audience that that's the role that you're adopting, and it actually puts them mentally in the student role, because oh, okay, this is a professor doing a lecture. That's the scene. That's the game that we're playing. Then you could do things inside of that game, inside of that scene that are way more entertaining and way more immersive and way more interesting than things that were it's just simply not sorry, just I just want to be clear. Adopting the professor role in reality, like I'm here to teach this audience something, is very different than adopting the professor role theatrically. Because theatrically could be very interesting.
Obviously, I need to do it, and I need to. Absolutely, I agree with you 1,000% that that's a great scene. It's a scene I'm comfortable in,
Hmm.
um, but stepping out from behind the professor podium and into the audience. This is where audience involvement comes into play. This is where a
Oh, sure,
level of
sure.
interaction, and that's what I need. That's sort of what I'm sorting out because that's actually what I'm most comfortable. But it's easy for me to default into lecture mode, and
Yeah.
I can only imagine from an audience perspective how boring that must be. Now, fortunately, I have lots of stage experience, not as a magician, but stage experience as a stage hypnotist, which is always interactive. And so I'm sort of drawing in my magic and mentalism, and more mentalism than magic, the sort of my previous experiences with audience interaction in the stage hypnosis show, because as you know, those shows are 100% dependent on audience involvement and interaction and sharing a space with them.
Got it. Yeah. So, so can you tell me, well, first of all, let's get the context out of the way, because it sounds like you have something that is sort of built. And so we're not existing in kind of a hypothetical space. There's something there's something there there's form in this clay already, right? A little
Right.
bit. So tell me about the context of the show. Like, do you have a 15-minute set? Do you have a 3-minute set? Are you trying to do something? I mean, obviously the audience is aware that they're at a variety magic show in this particular context, I think.
Sure. Sure.
Um, and so like give me more of the context. Like when you're performing, what does and I'll stop you with questions, but what does it look like generally?
So it looks like Michael DeShalit comes on because it's his show currently,
Yeah.
and he does about 40 to 45 minutes. He ends with a mentalism routine. It's a combination book test and letters and drawing reveal. And then he introduces me. And he introduces me not as the comedy magician, but as we're lucky to have Dr. Richard Nongard with us. And he's going to share some things. And then I come up, take it from him. I do about a 10 to 15 minute set. And we've been working on then ending with a 2-man routine um, uh, using some mentalism math coupled with a reveal. Um, and it sort of transitions from serious into comedy. And then Michael does his 3 closing things after that. So I would prefer the structure of the show to me being the opener for him.
It's weird for him to do 45 minutes, then pull you on, then him to just come on for the finale. I agree.
I agree. However, he wants to do it his way. I talked to him about this. He doesn't want to redo his show opening because it's dependent on what he sets up during the 30-minute walk-in and seating time. But
Sure.
the
Okay.
whole goal of me doing the set is I'm doing different things every time. And the reason why is he wants me to have a solid hour minimum because he wants me to do the show when he's not available, when he's got a gig or like in the case of this week, he had some health problems, etc. So it would be, and this is a role that I played here in Las Vegas for years. I never had the Richard Nongard stage hypnosis show. I
Mm.
was the fill-in guy for a number of different hypnotists here. And one of them I filled in for almost 2 years straight. But nonetheless, I like that role because, as you know, it's a lot. I'm not. I don't want to be somewhere Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at 5 p.m. It's really nice to have to be there Thursday or Sunday or be covering this weekend or off that weekend. So
Yeah, it sure is.
it'll be my show when he's not doing the show. And that's his plan, is to work with me so that I can do the the whole show without him. So
Okay.
that's what we're working towards. And it looks like there's an urgency to doing that so he can take more time off.
How long does you want the show to be?
Wants the show to be 60 minutes.
So okay, so you're basically you're trying to cover an hour.
Yep, 60 to
And
70 minutes. It's fine.
and you're in the Las Vegas market, right? It's not like I've discovered this doing my show here. It's not a artistic market.
Right.
Um, it's it's like a going into a show, people will sort of expect. I mean, people are kind of looking for a place to drink, for a
Exactly.
lot of the times.
This show, because it's in the Delirious Comedy Club, it's the first show of the night. The show's at 5 o'clock.
Mm.
It is billed as a family-friendly show. People do bring their kids. Obviously, I'm not a kids entertainer. It's not predominantly kids, but it's all ages. But it's the here's your first drink of the night show, and people do
Mm.
come for multiple shows. They'll come for the 5 o'clock show, have some drinks, go gamble a little bit, come for the 7 o'clock show, and that's a comedy set. They're adding a late night show. So the idea of the venue, I suppose, is to start them drinking at 5 and keep them there till 11,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with gambling in between. Yeah, so it's not a sophisticated, it's not an artistic audience. It's a wonderful theater.
Yeah.
Uh, couldn't be a better setup. And that's great. Um, and Don Barnhart, who runs the club, he's been doing it for years here in Vegas. He's been pretty successful in his previous venues. This is a new venue for him. I think it's only been open about 4 months, 5 months.
And so the question that I want to ask is, uh, your interest in doing this. So your 15-minute sets. This is going to be challenging to talk about because if you're doing different material for each of those 15-minute sets, then it's kind of like there's stuff to work with, but it's not a lot because it's constantly shifting, it's changing, it's a moving target.
Yeah.
So we can't really talk about like
Well,
individual.
what I'm doing is doing my 15 minutes to perfection and then adding it to the book and doing it right. I'm at
Yeah.
60 minutes right now. If Don called and said, "Hey, you need to do the show tonight," I can do it.
Cool. Okay, so if that's the case, then let's just assume that we're talking about the hour-long set, the hour-long show. And I can then run you through these questions. And these questions are always sort of changing around and having different formats. I'm actually going to make a survey about this that I can send out to people so they can clarify some of their own thoughts. But uh, I want to hold on one second. Let me pull these up. Uh, there they are. Okay. So these are, do you want to talk about, let's talk about narrative and storyline first. I think that's probably the most important part. Well, the character is something that's going to be informed by the narrative, probably, or the storyline that you're going for. We can start either direction, but um, first of all, is it important to you that there is a storyline or some kind of narrative or some kind of underlying theme? If it's not important, then these questions become a little bit irrelevant.
So I do think it's important, and it's not fully developed, but the idea is the first, Act One. I'm putting it in context of Act One, Act Two, Act Three. Act One is establishing the opening scene, the main character, um, and it's about psychological awareness. It's about abilities that we have or abilities we can develop. And that where our attention goes is where our energy flows. The second part is the deeper reveal. This is where things might even get a little dark because perhaps the first act was interesting and fascinating and even in some ways educational. But maybe exploring, because I'm interested in dark themes. I'm
Yeah.
interested in Jung's shadow self. I'm interested
Yeah.
in that space between what's comfortable and uncomfortable, using mentalism and magic as the vehicle to explore some of those things. And my strength is I'm a good storyteller. Heck, if I could just do one trick and tell a story for an hour, it would probably be my preference, right? A one man theater show where Professor Richard tells a story. But um, in the second part, we move from creating awareness and wow, this is possible. By the way, I don't mean magic, the mind reading is possible. What I mean is, wow, the audience might not even be able to put their hand on it, but wow, I'm looking at things from, I don't even know what I'm looking at, but things seem different now than they did before. That's that awareness part. Then into the unconscious part where, wow, I realize that maybe I don't know everything and that I'm in my comfort zone, and now I'm being taken to a much more uncomfortable place. And I don't mean uncomfortable in a scary way, but I mean uncomfortable in uh, I'm not familiar with this. Uh, and then a part of that, because of my history as a therapist with dream work, is using effects that revolve around the unconscious processes and the dreams. I love the dream as a metaphor for exploration. And I think people find that fascinating. I mean, the dream analysis courses I teach are some of my most well attended materials. And then a close. And Act Three is the empowerment of the person who came to the show. They thought they were going to get you know, a show that was going to kick off the night before they did some gambling and came back to drink some more and go to the comedy club. But they walk out whether they know for sure or not, but that they have an ability that they didn't know before the show. And that's kind of what I want them to, that's the arc I want to be able to take them through. And I don't think it's well developed. Um, some of the items within those are, but that's sort of the three things. If I were going to summarize that: awareness, the unconscious, and the empowerment. Because I want everybody to leave feeling good. Um, I want everybody to realize the show is about them, not about me. I was just a vehicle to help them discover themselves.
Okay. This is really cool. This is something to work with. Um, when you say empowerment, though, this is interesting because we're doing a magic show, and so we are getting into a little bit of the realm of it's possible that we could be entering the realm of gospel magic, where and there's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but I just want to be clear. Like, are we talking about real empowerment? Are we talking about like a sort of like vague sense of there's magic in the world, or things that seem
Vague sense
impossible or
there's
not?
magic in the world. You've gone to a movie and you left the movie and you thought to yourself, I don't know what, but I feel good right now because
Okay,
the world
okay,
is
okay.
filled with hope, and wonder is amazing. And going back to Paul Harris's philosophy and his fixation on that word astonishment. Astonishment is that pattern interrupt that takes us from our everyday world into the next level of our own personal development.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I think
So I don't
that's
want them to
clever.
walk out and say, I want to, pass out tracts for Jesus. I want them to walk out and say, I was depressed and planning to drink a lot tonight and gamble because that's what I do every day. But
Mhm.
maybe tomorrow when I wake up, I'll look for an opportunity that I perhaps overlooked
I'll
before.
touch grass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so good. So we're not looking for like a particular and specific thing necessarily. Now when we're discussing that though, the thing that they're going to walk away with, whatever that is, um, I'm tempted to sort of say that if it's something that's like sort of generally like this was a good experience and there might be more things possible in the world than I know, or I want to touch grass, or I'm inspired in some way. My feeling is almost like the feeling that I get is kind of that a good magic show will just kind of do that automatically.
I
And
think so.
so,
You're right.
yeah, so it might not be the strongest, the strongest goal. And, I just, I'm a fan if we're talking about theatrics and immersion. There are many correct answers, but there are definitely stronger and weaker answers. And so, if it is the case that you can just do the most bang up job at a mentalism show and then people will feel that way afterwards, then the actual thing, the actual show itself, you don't really even have to focus on the messaging. You just have to focus on making it really good.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it depends on what you call good. So let's
Yeah.
take, for example, uh, the math blocks. You know what I'm talking about? The mental blocks, the four blocks,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
Okay.
about. Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I think that is a hideously boring, horrible magic trick. Any
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
magician can perform it well. Um, and I think I perform it particularly well, not because it's a great trick, but because of my message. And so the way that I do it um, begins with before there were magicians doing tricks. There were mathematicians who were sorcerers who literally used math to create, and math is the the foundation of what is beautiful. We have the Fibonacci ratio, et cetera, et cetera. We talk about, or I talk about, this is all in 2 minutes, 2.5 minute lecture on this, but that 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 math brought you here tonight. Math created the beauty, but the beauty that's within you. But let's shift gears a little bit and put this into action. We do a game show with the math blocks, right?
Yeah, sure.
Switch gears into a game show, and then with a reveal. So the last one isn't about my mathematical abilities, which are obviously superhuman and not logical, but um, it ends with a prediction, right? And I predicted, they have the number hanging on a pendant that they're wearing, uh,
Mm.
that I give them as soon as they come up on stage. But it ends with the
Now for some fun.
with the
I was
sorry,
working.
it ends with the reveal with uh, with me telling them that they didn't discover that they could do math tonight. Rather, they discovered that they were beautiful, and uh, that that that's what was illustrated tonight. Um, that the intangible can become tangible for them. Well, you know,
What okay, so do you say those words?
well, in my script, I say, "Hey, Kent, you just did in 30 seconds what people haven't been able to do since high school. You calculated without fear, without saying math is bad. Um, but now you can go forth and notice the spirals in the sunflowers, the geometry and architecture, and you can see that math is actually uh, beauty that we feel before we think. It's an art, it's in music. And so, Kent, you are actually the answer to the equation. You're the answer. You're the proof that before tonight began, um, that you knew you'd be standing here. And
Okay. So the question is, and this is an important question for this kind of thing, because I feel that there's this desire to attach meaning to something that you might consider meaningless.
right,
And I
I'm guilty
pers
of that.
yeah, and I personally think that magic is inherently meaningful. Even something as pithy as the 21 card trick has some kind of meaning. Like it sticks with people, like if somebody doesn't know any magic or doesn't know a magician, they know one trick, but they know this trick because they saw it and it meant so much to them. Like that their choices meant nothing, with those little flowers at the end or their choices meant everything. Like whatever the meaning was, they made it themselves in their head. So now imagine the first time someone sees the 21 card trick, and then at the end, someone spends 2 minutes telling them what it should mean to them, is something that is, to me, it's a little bit dissonant. It's a little square block into round hole, you know. And so the question that I have, which is, there's nothing wrong with wanting to deliver a specific message. It's what artists sometimes do. Um, is there a way to deliver that message inside of the routine that makes it likely for the people to pick up on it, that makes it so that you don't have to just straightforwardly tell them what the routine was about afterwards?
I think summarizing it for you, I told you what the routine is about, but
Yeah.
the question, I think that you do that by asking a transderivational search. You don't do it by telling them what I just told you. You would simply say, by the way, you've been wearing that pendant around your neck. May I have that, please? And then you do the reveal, right? And then it's let's call it 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Just for simplicity. And so right before the reveal, you ask the question, you know, Kent, do you feel beautiful? Right?
Mm.
That's the context. Now you take out the number and read 1, 2, 3, 4. The prediction answers the question. Am I part of this beauty? Yes, you are. Right.
Mm.
That's you have to look inside yourself for that meaning. I'm just going to take a bow and hope you got it. I'm not going to do a sermon at the end of my trick. Um, you're muted.
Yeah, I know. I just had to say something to the roommate.
Okay.
No worries.
Oh, you were doing math.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I was trying to get to 1, 2, 3, 4 in my head, and it might have been,
Right.
it might have had a one, a zero, an eight, and an eight, and a seven. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
But I tend to like to reveal things with questions.
Yeah. Well, that's
And
good. That's good. So like the th
and not everybody has to get it. I mean, Eugene taught me something really valuable, and that was, I'm very interested in philosophy and studying philosophy. So was Eugene, and he would quote Camus and Sartre, and I asked him about that one day, and he said, "I don't need to do a performance for the dumbest person in the room." And
Yeah. I mean, there's a commercial aspect to wanting to be able to do a performance for the dumbest person in the room,
right,
but I might just say that the dumbest person in the room doesn't have to have the most rich experience, but they do have to be able to get it, and on
right.
some level. They have to have an experience.
Well,
Um,
in this case, again, I'm not performing an hour or even describing it necessarily accurate. At least the dumbest person in the room ended up with some artisanal chocolate during the game.
yes. Yeah, for sure,
Right.
for
So
sure.
there's something for everybody in this, and that's what I'm looking for. And I do want to get out of that sermon mode. And well, I'm not really in it, but I have to be careful not to go into it.
Well, you are a little bit. I mean, if the end of the one thing that I would just in terms of developing this kind of thing recommend against is um is telling people what the meaning ought to be of the thing that they just witnessed. And so you've come up with a better answer than giving a 2 to 4 minute lecture about the beauty of numbers and architecture, by just asking if they feel beautiful. And that might be so you can might be able to pull that lecture into the routine by like asking, have you ever noticed that the most beautiful architecture is often very mathematically formulaic, or something like that. And if they haven't noticed, then they'll be like, oh, interesting. If they have noticed, then maybe they'll be like, yeah, this guy's onto something. But if you take time at the end of the routine to go back and retroactively say, by the way, the piece of art that you just witnessed ought to be realized like this, ought to be understood like this, then you're probably just going to get resistance at best, and maybe some nodding along from people who want to pretend to be intellectual. But at the end of the day, it's just not going to hit quite the same. And
That's when I do the routine. One of the things I ask, because again prefer to ask the teachers, um, have you ever listened to a piece of music or a song that brought a tear to your eye? Music. Bach knew this. Mathematics is music is math made audible,
yeah, yeah,
right? And
yeah.
I'm not telling them what the music means. I'm just pointing out as I'm spinning one of the towers to move the numbers, right? By the way, Bach knew uh, that every piece of music.
You
Um,
just gave me an idea for a routine, dude. I think this would be really cool. But
that's why we're sharing this with people, right? So that other
yeah,
people
yeah.
can say, "Hey, not the rest of his ideas sucked, but there was a good piece in there."
Yeah. Well, no, so like you just said that music is math uh
Beautiful.
made beautiful.
Yeah,
And now
chocolate, by the way, is math made delicious. Every piece of chocolate melts at 93 degrees,
yeah, right, right, right.
which is why they get artisanal chocolate in the first spin.
Imagine a routine, and this is the really rough draft, but imagine a routine where there's some sort of melodic thing happening in the background, but you can have the staff for that melody somewhere visible. And it may be, I don't know if it's LEDs or if it's projection or whatever, but it lights up so that it's like bing, 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 bing. And the melody is slow and it happens over and over again during the routine. But then your add number adds up to the the digits that those notes represent on the staff.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like if it's the first note, then the third note, then the second note, or whatever, and you have the digits when you implant them underneath, this is yeah. So you see
Right,
the you see the
kind of like the taking Max Maven's, I can't remember what he called it, the rainbow connection or whatever he called it, the rainbow. I don't remember the
mm,
grid of 1 through 16, and he takes the red and crosses that off. The blue crosses this off, adds them up, and it equals 37, right? So,
yes, right, right.
but taking that concept, putting it over to the music notes so that it added might be different, but it adds to 37, right? And
Sure, sure, yeah.
that's
And
a different way of forcing a number like that.
yeah, it's a different way of thinking about it. I was thinking that the melody that's playing while you're doing the routine is equal to the number that you end up forcing.
Yep.
And how you represent that is maybe the notes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or whatever. But
By the way,
I
just
don't know. Ultimately, I don't know
in
enough
my
about music.
routine, I don't force the number at the end. It's actually a billet switch.
Oh, cool. Well, either way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, sure.
Um, but cool. So okay. So I have some questions for you.
I can reveal secrets in this talk, right?
Of course, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Uh, I have some questions for you. Did I already ask you what the show was about?
Uh,
I
I'll let
didn't. I don't think I did. If I did, I want to swing at it again because we've been talking around it so much. But so in one sentence, what is the show about?
the show is about realizing that we all have I'm going to put it in eighth grade language, we all have a superpower. We all have the ability to become aware, to tap into a deeper part of ourself, and to accomplish more things.
Okay. Is it and just as a corollary to that question, is it important to you that they don't connect the superpower in your mind to the superpowers that you're displaying on stage? Like I'm sorry, when you say it's important that we all realize we have a
Tell people
superpower.
I have superpowers. I tell people they're going to learn um, the perception is what creates possibility.
Yeah, okay, so when you say superpower, do you
I
mean
just mean it's like, the amazing things that can be done. But, I don't have people walk away believing that, I'm speaking to the dead, or that
of
that I
course.
have, I have Yuri Geller's power or something like that, right?
No, but like there's there's
I
no
want them to
judgment.
know that they can be super powerful too.
There's no judgment associated with this, I just want to ask, like, do you do you want them walking away thinking that um that the superpowers that you have are some kind of super psychological superpowers, like some kind of detective thing, or you're
So
able to
I
perceive
want,
on a higher
I want,
level?
I want people to be able to see that they're really not too much different than me. And that's the goal of a professor. The goal of the professor is to
Yeah.
get a student who's smarter than them. So I want to be able to transfer my awareness or my superpower or my um, deduction skills or my whatever it is. Um, so they walk out and say, maybe I can do something I didn't think was possible. Whether it's magic or mentalism or have a healthy relationship or pay their bills on time.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're getting at. The challenge for me is that well, you want to what it kind of sounds like, if I'm putting this in plain speak, is that you want to inspire them to be better to whatever degree that to whatever meaning that has to them semantically, by showing them that one can be hyper focused or hyper aware or hyper perceptive, um, deductive, mathematical, whatever. Is that tracking?
Yeah, it is tracking. I mean, I think it kind of goes back to I want them to realize, well, I can pay attention to my senses and be more aware. I
Okay,
can,
so you want
I
them to
can,
be inspired.
yeah, I can discover a part of myself that maybe I've been overlooking, maybe a part of myself I know is there that I just haven't paid attention to. And
So, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I because I do think I know where you're going with this. But and so please, if you know where I'm going with something, please feel free to interrupt me too.
sure, sure.
Totally fair. I just I noticed that a lot of times these conversations devolve almost immediately into the ethics of the thing, but it's just so often that's kind of where they start. And so it's not that I think anything's ethical or unethical for other people in particular. It's just I want to know specifically, like, it seems like if they were aware that you were doing magic tricks, you feel like their inspiration would be lessened. Is that accurate?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay, okay. So you actually, so they don't need to believe that you're hyper perceptive.
No, they don't. They need to
Okay,
think,
okay, cool. That's
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
what it sounded like you meant, where it's like,
sure, sure,
because
sure.
I'm hyper perceptive, they can be hyper perceptive.
Yeah, no, I might even say I don't have a great memory. There's no way I could have memorized this whole. I had somebody the other night say to me, "Well, you memorized all the pages of the book." I said, "Do you give me way?"
Yeah.
I said, "You give me way too much credit." I just bought this book 2 days ago.
You're
Um,
like, I certainly did
I
not.
wish I wish that I had that ability, but and I said, but if you would like to give me credit, I'll take it.
Nice. Okay, okay, cool.
So I'm really good at self depreciation. I'm good at um, not presenting myself as better than others. I think I'm pretty good at that. I
Oh, it
come
does,
across.
and like honestly, to me, it doesn't matter. Like in as you saw in Ghost Stories, like I'm definitely presenting supernatural powers that people don't have. I mean, it's couched in this very tongue-in-cheek thing about and couched with a very strong disclaimer, um, but yeah, if you ask me, is the character better in ways like does the character have abilities that the audience doesn't have? Yes, the answer is completely yes, and I don't have any like judgment for anyone who has that feeling. I just want to I just want to get clarity in my own mind about what the actual feeling is. So if you want them to be inspired, the question that's important, I mean, if I saw real Sherlock Holmes, like Benedict Cumberbatch or whatever, if I saw that person doing real things that were really not magic tricks, I might be super inspired to go and like study this stuff and be like, this is really cool. If I found out later that that person was lying to me, I might be a little miffed. But yeah, that would be the inspirational experience. If I'm aware that uh, they're not um, really like a mathematical prodigy or like a psychological genius or whatever, then I might not be inspired in that way. And so what I'm sort of this is the balance I'm trying to figure out is like if you're not interested in really convincing people that you're like some super psychological genius, then how do you expect that they're going to walk away with the inspiration that they could or should be that themselves, or that that's possible for them? because then they'll be like, okay, well, I gotta
I
if
got to
they're
see it
aware that
now.
it's a mentalism show, they'd be like, okay, I can open Corinda. I'm inspired to open Corinda. If
Right.
they're not aware that it's a mentalism show, then they might be like, okay, now I'm gonna study math and NLP. But it's the merging of these two where this challenge is arising, and it might be important to like just figure it out first before moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, that's kind of where I am, is trying to put all these pieces together. Uh, this is the first time I've done mentalism as a mentalist, as
Mm.
opposed to doing mentalism as a magician or
Oh, I see.
mentalism as a psychologist, right? So,
That's
uh,
dangerous waters, man.
right. So now I'm presenting myself as a mentalist on a stage doing a mentalism show.
Mm.
And so I'm at the, you're at the advanced level in your career, and I'm at the reinventing myself level with the different characters and different knowledges and different, different places. Um, and so this is really helpful because I got to figure it out. And I'm
Okay.
fortunate that I have a place where I get live audiences, because that's every performer's problem. It's how do I practice this?
I know, man. We're so lucky
And I'm
to
so lucky.
have the ability to perform for people, right, over and over again and just be
Right.
like, oh, if this isn't going to work today, I can just do something different tomorrow. It's
Exactly.
like I
Exactly.
remember earlier in my career when I would spend months obsessing over one show because I got one shot at it.
Yep.
And it was like that's torture.
Yeah. Tomorrow night will be a different audience. I didn't like that bit. So now one thing
Yeah.
I always love to do is Max Maven's four-sided triangle. I do it differently. I don't do the four-sided triangle routine or whatever script that he uses. But I
Mm.
love doing that. But I haven't been doing it lately because I've been doing other stuff, and I'm doing other stuff for a new audience, so I can develop that. And I know, hey, that's on. I have a notebook that I keep, right, and so that's on the page of the ready to go page. In other words, I don't need to be doing that at the show this week because it's always great. Um,
Nice.
and and so now I'm trying to move the next thing to always great. And one of those things is this math sticks routine.
Yeah, got it.
Um,
So okay, so my my feeling is that we've covered enough of the sort of ethics thing that I don't want to be like bogged down in it
sure.
necessarily. Because really, if I'm being honest, and I've said this in other talks, but the interest for me is to get the point is if I am helping like magicians and stuff, is to get it so that their show is crossing the threshold into unethical, so that they then have to address it if they feel like addressing it. But like I want it to be like real and effective enough that it's like, you know, oftentimes when people are having these conversations, it's like it's not even worth talking about that yet because the it's not going to be that it's not that convincing yet. It's like a lot of times, especially in bizarre spiritual magic, like the show itself is its own disclaimer or whatever. So it's like, people are not walking away being uh more convinced than they were before. You have your dyed in the wool believers, but anyway, let's get right into the thick of it.
Go for it.
So uh I got what the show is about. And now the next part is now this is for your hour-long show. Okay, this is what
Right.
is the hour-long show an immersive? Like, does the audience have a role, or is
Yeah,
it
from beginning to end.
okay? Now, when I say role, what I mean is, and when I say immersive, what I mean is that we're all in sort of a play together, and we understand that we're not in that on some level, of course, we are an audience. That's part of the brain, but we
Right.
partition another part of the brain that we have a role in the show. So in there's on a base level when you watch ghost stories, there's an whether they're aware of it or not, the internal monologue for the character is that they need to be here such that I can use their energies to achieve my goal at the end of the show. And there's an internal understanding, some kind of understanding about that in the audience perspective. In your perspective, from your show, what I've heard so far is that one really easy way to make this sort of immersive is that they are students in a like lecture hall, and that would be what I mean by immersive, not necessarily interactive, which is different.
Right.
So
Yeah,
is it immersive? It doesn't matter if it is or isn't. There's no right
well,
answer.
I think it is
Okay.
because I tend to. So one thing I did with the stage hypnosis show when I was performing here in Vegas, or whether it was comedy clubs, even when the line was out the door, before they seated people, and most performers were hiding in the green room. I would
Mm.
always walk out and meet people in line and introduce myself. And the reason why is that prepared them for, oh, Richard's a friendly guy. We can talk to him during the show.
Mm.
I want people to talk to me during a mentalism show. I want them to talk to me during this show because I want to be doing something with them, sharing an experience with them rather than showing them something. To get that, what I've been doing is not calling people up on stage, but going out into the audience and having them do something. Um, and
In the audience.
yeah, yeah. So I'll walk out into the audience and maybe touch somebody on the shoulder and have them take just an example here, a billet or something, and write something, and whatever it is. And the reason why, I mean, I might walk into the audience and well, that's not a good example because it's a blank sign pad, but I'm not going to have them come up to pick a word, right? I'm going to walk to them and step back on the stage and then walk back to them for a reveal. And so I think I'm interactive from that perspective. But this is what a professor does. This is what I do when I'm teaching a graduate school class. I taught undergrad here and there, but mostly graduate students. And practicum supervision and dissertation supervision. So they're 100% involved in the process because
Yeah.
you can't graduate without being a part of the process. So that's something very comfortable for me. I think my audience believes that they're a part of the show, that they are as important as I am.
As important as you are is an interesting thing to say. I
Well,
would give some pushback on that probably, but
yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm the facilitator, I'm the professor. There wouldn't be a show if I wasn't there, right?
right,
So,
right.
right.
So I'm
But,
sorry. It
but,
depends what you mean by important,
but
I
their
guess.
contribution was important. Their
Yeah.
thought or their time. Michael always ends by saying, he always ends his show by, I don't remember exactly, he said, it was just really nice. He said he does a linking ring routine to end his show. I don't do linking rings, but he does a linking ring routine, and it's really beautiful. It's really nice. And and then he ends by saying, "And I want you to know you're my magic." And he's very, I mean, he's serious. This is a guy who's been performing for 40 years, and the audiences, some paying him a lot, some paying him not much at all, but he does it because he loves it, and the audience believes that wow, we were his magic. This is great. That's a feeling that's produced. At the end of a show, people aren't going to remember I mean, they might remember a really cool effect, but they're going to walk out paying attention to how it was they felt when they left.
Yeah,
That's
maybe. I mean, yes, I agree actually that they will pay attention to how it was that they felt. I don't know how you'd collect the data to be able to actually, I mean, unless you're literally surveying them on the way out,
right.
um, to be able to conclude how they actually feel. I mean,
Well,
sometimes,
that's the luxury that a therapist has that a hypnotist, I mean, a magician doesn't have, is you don't know what the outcome is. Um,
yeah,
but so it's a phenomenological experience and a belief rather than a quantitative analysis of audience
right.
response. But that's going to be reflected everywhere from my reviews to ticket referrals. Um,
Oh, yes, yeah, for sure, for
right.
sure.
So
And
there's a metric that measures how they felt.
there are metrics for sure for that. I think that even though self-reporting is sometimes even not, like if somebody says something artistic at the end of their show, but it doesn't connect with a person, but they really liked the remainder of the show, but they're also the kind of person that likes to be artistic. They might just say that the show was so artistic and beautiful just because that's the kind of thing they want to put on their own public persona. Um, so it's really hard to know this kind of stuff. I mean, I can imagine a situation, and I haven't seen Michael perform at all. but you've been my magic. Just there's a suspicion in me that it's a bit platitudinous, if that's a word.
Anybody but Michael.
Say it
And
again.
that's from anybody but Michael, but he plays the character of a dad,
Cool. No,
right? And
that's
so,
wonderful. That's
and
wonderful.
so he, he's, he really is, and he's a good dad. I know his kids. His kids are all, in their 30s.
Nice.
Awesome. He's, I couldn't get away with saying that. You couldn't. He can.
Okay. Well, it's going to depend, I guess, on a bunch of different context. It's going to depend on the context, I guess. And one of the pieces of context is how good of an actor you are and how good of an ability you have to deliver that message
Well, that's what I
in the
love about your
context
show.
of your show.
You're a great actor.
Oh, thanks. I mean, in
When
the context of my show, for sure.
when the last time I saw your show, we talked about the lady who was there and your ancestral totem. I don't know if you have a name that you call that final effect, right?
Yeah.
Right, with the shell, and she left knowing that you cared about her. Now, I
Mm.
didn't survey that, but the audience knew that you cared about her. Now, whether that's true or not is actually irrelevant. That was her belief, and that was the audience belief because of the way that you treated her. And she left with a part of her, whether she knew it or not, that was in therapeutic language unintegrated, and she left holding her shell.
Yes.
And you without intending to be a therapist. That's not what your goal is or what your plan is at all. You're an entertainer. But it was a healing experience for her without her believing that she contacted her dead father.
Right.
That's an accomplishment.
That's the biggest compliment you could give to that show. I really appreciate it.
And I've seen that outcome twice more pronounced than last time. And it depends on who you bring up and what you do with them and whatever else. But that ability to transfer something that wasn't useful only to her, but I think to anybody who had a part of them that carried sadness.
Yeah. Um, oh, geez, we are already coming up on 15 minutes till you have to go. So let me move on with this. I totally it's so meaningful to me that you speak so highly of ghost stories. So I
Well, I've
certainly
seen
don't want
every
to
show in
interrupt you by
Vegas.
complimenting
I've seen
me.
every show in Vegas. It's the best show in Vegas.
Oh, dude, thank you so much for that.
It's the best
Um,
magic show I've seen. So, and I'm sincere about that. I mean, I love it.
I appreciate it. And you know what? It speaks to people who it certainly does. I've noticed speak to people who are interested in magic and meaning.
Right.
And that's something I've found people who are interested in that kind of thing to be very complimentary of it because it's hitting a lot, it's firing a lot of those pistons. Those pistons are firing some. Um,
And your
so
show's fun too. So
yeah, yeah, it's a fun show. That's why that's actually the to speak cynically, the dumbest person in the room still gets a good show. They still
yeah,
like
they had a great time for their what it
yeah
was called $60, and they
yeah
laughed and and they
yeah.
and so that's awesome.
So okay. So given that we're kind of in a sort of immersive now, the question that I want to ask to you, and these are going to have to be a bit rapid fire because now we have 15 minutes
Sure.
till your class starts. What is the uh sorry? What is the opening image of the show? And when I say opening image, I also mean the moment before. Like when the character is on stage and we're beginning this presentation of an hour, in the character's mind, where was the character just a moment ago?
Sure. So the current setup I don't think is ideal where Michael's bringing me up basically before his grand finale. So I am I am
Well, we're talking about the full hour show. We're
the
talking about
full hour show. Yeah. Um, where am I ahead of time? Probably in my study.
because there can be good answers for that too. When he pulls you up, right? Let's
Right.
say if you're a professor and you're so immersed and so focused in your studies and your intellectual, there's a lot of really interesting professor characters from the years, and effectively, if we think of watching a movie where Doc from Back to the Future is giving a lecture to students, right? like you know that that scene is going to be fun, right? And so it's like, but he might, the moment before is like, okay, so you're here, you've got these students, even in the 15-minute version, you might not come on stage when he gives you the introduction. You might not walk on stage. And then he's like, where, and he talks to the light guy, he's like, where is he?
Right.
And then it might be a character flaw that you're an alcoholic and you're actually at the bar, and on the screen they have to get like a Bluetooth video of the guy going, I'm finding him, and then you find him they get you at the bar, and then they pull you and they say, come on, you're on. It might be that you're in the audience taking notes
Right.
of all of the of all of the audience members. You're looking at them and they don't even notice that you're in the crowd. And then says Michael goes, where is he? And then the spotlight in the room goes "Zoo, zoo, 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 zoo," and lands on you in the crowd, and you go, oh yeah, sorry, my turn. Okay,
I was
cool, I'm
taking
going.
some notes, right?
Yeah, right.
I can put my pen. Let me put my pen down.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's actually where I am. Like the physical location of where I am is I'm at a back table on the left side of the stage.
Oh really? Oh, you're already set up for this kind of intro then.
Yeah, so I
So
can just
that's
have a stack of books on my desk and
yes.
put my glasses on and then come to the stage.
Yeah, and you're reading, and in fact, if you do a book test in this routine, let's say you're reading a book or you're taking notes in the side of a in the side margin of a book, and then you go and then on your way up to stage after they find you, um you've got, let's say you've just
I could open with a book test.
exactly. That's what I'm saying is like as you're going up to the stage, you can just hand it to somebody and say, "Go, hold this." You can just as you're moving up to the stage, if you've got a bunch of props that were already there that are like intellectual in nature and sort of would belong on a writing desk, like maybe a force is on the marker that you're holding. I don't know, that little six of clubs thing, but whatever it is, you can just say like, if you've got a notepad that you're going to use for something and somebody writes something and it's your impression device or whatever it is, like you can just tell people you got your all this stuff. You're like,
Oh,
here, hold
I
this, and then you're on stage and you're ready.
I this was this was a great talk because whether it's the 15-minute version or whether it's the full hour version, I think that I'm going to always, there's the invisible narrator, the man behind the curtain who does the voiceover, who's the intro, right?
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
always going to emerge from the back row of the audience with my pile of books and immediately begin with a book test.
yeah,
I
yeah.
could do a book test in 30 seconds,
Sure.
right?
Yes.
I would not do a long book test. I would simply do a book test and I would not do a non-gaffed book. I mean, I would literally do stop. Okay, look at the first word on this page right here,
Yeah.
and do a quick reveal. I mean, that's a 30-second. Normally, I wouldn't do a quick reveal, but just to say, tonight you're going to see some amazing things,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so you know, that's not a bad way to consider. I wouldn't use that book,
Yeah. Well, we already got something. So like that's cool. And that just comes from questions that maybe
but
you've
I
never
like the
answered.
idea of. I love that question you asked, which is where are you beforehand,
Yeah.
and where I've always been beforehand is behind the stage. And I don't want to come from behind the stage. My personality, my character is more comfortable coming from the front. Now I do some pre-show things, even in this, especially if I'm doing four-sided triangle, because I have to have somebody commit it, think of a card, memorize it, put it in their, or, put it in their brain. Uh,
Yeah.
and then I have to give another audience member an envelope, right? And I like talking to people when they're coming in. I tend to have my own performance anxiety, even though I've been on stage my whole life. And I like when people know who I am. I want them to know I'm the performer. I'm doing the show, and you met me. I like to be accessible. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to interact with a few people beforehand, but I'm going to start even when the nights I'm by myself. I'm sitting at that table in the back with a stack of books, prepping, getting ready, doing whatever it is I do. And I can even ask somebody, they got the person in the last row, by the way, could you hand me one of my books? I forgot it. Have them bring it up to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll do a book test. They selected a random book. Let's say there's 5 or 6 books in a stack, because that's
Yep.
what a professor would have. They picked one of those books. Bring just which one? I don't care. Bring any of those books up to me. I need one of them, and I'll do a book test.
And now they've now in bringing it to them, they've you've already selected them, but in bringing it to you on stage, then they've entered the stage now.
Right.
So
They don't
it's an
even need to bring
organic
extra
way of
on stage. They can bring this theater is small. I mean, we had I think the most I've had in there is 60.
wow,
Right.
it's a
So
good number.
yeah, on a Sunday night at 5 o'clock, that was like 2 weeks ago. I was like, what happened here? We had 60
Crazy.
people on a Sunday at 5 o'clock. But last Thursday night, I think it was, we had 12. By the
Mm.
way, the hardest audience ever, which taught me more than a good audience could have, but they were really tough, including 4 old lady hecklers in the very front row.
God.
And yeah, and Michael had a hard time with them. I had a hard time with them. Tried to edit the video to make it look good for a promo, and they kept yapping and talking the whole time, and just uh,
I experienced that in ghost stories too, and I have very aggressive ways of dealing with it, but it's not for
I
everyone.
would be because I did comedy clubs for years. I can be more aggressive than I think Michael would want me to be, and I have to. It's his show, it's not mine. Uh,
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
so I can't kick him out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm grateful that in the '90s and 2000s I had that experience. With drunks in bar in Vegas, I was doing a 10 p.m., 11 p.m. show.
Yeah,
They're
dude,
all
you're one of the most experienced people to be comfortable in a situation that's less than ideal.
yeah, and hypnosis shows can get out. My very first stage hypnosis show ever years ago. I remember how wonderful it was. I walked away thinking I am the world's greatest. The next night, my very next, it was a booking for a swingers club. And I didn't go on until midnight, and I didn't understand their culture, right? And in the culture, the women make all of the decisions, uh, and uh, and so I expected, you know, boy, girl up on stage, but only the women went. The men were not going to volunteer. So
Wow.
now I have a bunch of drunk women on the stage, and the show was it was probably horrible. It was probably the worst show I've ever done. But and they were super drunk. But I've had every experience between that. The comedy clubs are great for that, because comedy clubs, you get a lot of respectful people in the audience, and the 2 or 3 drunks who are, and uh, I do love your line. I probably will steal this at some point. But you
Please.
looked at a guy last week and you said, "Sir, I've seen this show before, and the show works a lot better when you let me direct it.
Oh yeah. It was like, yeah, I have different ways of
I've
saying that.
seen this show before, and the
Yeah.
show is a lot better experience for you." That's exactly what you said. The show's a lot better experience for you if you um, if you let me
If you listen,
right.
if you
Exactly.
pay attention, if you're with me. Uh, I had a similar one last night where it was like, the it was, but it's very tongue in cheek for me. It's very like I'm very aggro with my audience, but like I'm also very focused on them and very very tongue in cheek and smiling. A little bit Mike Hammery, but Mike Hammer is way funnier than I am, and he can get away with more, I think. But it's kind of like, when a person keeps talking, it's like, or they give me something that's not what I'm asking for. It's like, and they know that they're doing it, so they're being a little shitty. You're like, how many times have you done the show? I've done it like 3,000 times here. How many times have you done it? This is your
Eugene,
first?
Eugene didn't call them hecklers; he called them interrupters.
Yeah.
Um, are you doing your show tonight?
I am. Yeah, I'm going. It's actually a packed house tonight. We got 40 seats sold. I'm still going to try to fit 2 more in there. So,
Um, Otherwise,
yeah.
I'd
Well, we're changing it. We're changing it next week to 6 and 8 p.m. And so we're going to see if that produces like less drunk people, which is nice. Because last night I had some drunk people that I had to be super aggressive with. And
I go to Europe on Friday, and Thursday night I'm performing twice. I'm performing
hell yeah.
with Michael, and then I'm performing at Wonderground,
When is the show with Michael? You said 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock on Thursday.
Mm. I'm going to be doing my show at 6, so
I'm
I
doing
wouldn't be able
it,
to see
right,
it.
and then I'm doing the 8 o'clock close-up show at Wonderground.
Well, I'd love to try and swing through. I might be able to swing through Underground. I probably won't make it by the time you're doing your show, though. But it's possible that I can make it
Well,
there.
I'll be doing it between 8 and 9 because I'm doing a close-up show. There's probably five of us.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I'll do my best. I will get out of Ghost Stories by like 7:45.
Well, come on over. I probably won't be the first one up anyway. I'm sure.
Wait.
I don't know who I'm
Um,
doing it
but yeah,
with.
I think we hit on a we got through like three of like 20 questions.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'll do
but
this again anytime you want to.
yeah, no, it's great conversation. I'd love to keep talking. And I think one really, there's a lot of interesting directions to think about, but I think one solid thing that we got was like, and this is important for anyone who's thinking about this stuff, is how does your character enter the stage? How is that in line with who the character is? And it's totally fine for it to just be walking on stage, but depending on how the strength of your character, or how, like, what kind of character you want to have, there might just be stronger decisions.
Well, and
And
how do we establish that I'm the professor?
exactly, you're
Establish
establishing it
it.
right away.
Establish it right away, and
Yeah.
I don't need to read him a resume then.
Well, you're actually establishing some other things too, right? You're establishing that the professor's something about the professor's attitude as well. So like, if you're a professor that's used to being very formal, you might come from the stage, but you might also wheel out a podium first and then leave the stage and then say, do it again. And then they say your name again, and then you come on stage behind the podium. That's a different entrance with the same with a similar message. And the message about the books on the table is that I wasn't even paying attention to the show. I'm so sorry. I was too wrapped up in my studies.
There you go, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, I will let you go because I know that you're
I
doing
have a
your.
hard break here in
Yep.
50 seconds. I got to have the other Zoom room open.
Well, wonderful to speak to you, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care. I'll see you. Hopefully I'll see you Thursday night. Come on,
Hopefully, we'll see you Thursday. All
whether you
right.
see me perform or not.
Yes, sir. All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks a lot, man.